Let's get more now on the Cabinet Office inquiry into allegations by the Conservative MP, Nusrat Ghani, that she was fired from her job as a minister because of her Muslim faith. Well, joining me now to discuss this, Labour MP for Slough, Tan Dhesi, who has previously called on the Prime Minister to investigate allegations of Islamophobia within the Conservative Party. Mr Dhesi, good to see you this afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me on, Sarah Jane.
No, it's a pleasure. I want to talk first of all about Nusrat Ghani in particular. She welcomed the announcement that there will be a Cabinet Office inquiry into her allegations, but she's keen to know the terms of reference. How much do you want to know about this inquiry? Because what will be key here is what teeth does it have to tackle not just these allegations, but what is being seen as a wider problem?
Look, first of all, I want to express my solidarity with Nusrat. She is a highly respected Member of Parliament, a friend, a Vice Chair of the 1922 Conservative Committee. And yes, now we are all looking forward to what are the terms of reference of this inquiry. But I think it should really not have come to this. I think that what has been going on, you referenced earlier in terms of what I asked the Prime Minister back in 2019 when I called him out on his derogatory and divisive, disparaging remarks towards Muslim women, describing them as looking like bank robbers and letterboxes, and asked him, one, to issue an apology, and secondly, that there needed to be an independent inquiry into Islamophobia within the Conservative Party, given the increased prevalence of those incidents and given that his comments led to a spike in hate crime. And language matters, and that is why I think that the tone that was set has meant that issues such as Islamophobia have not been taken seriously by the Conservative Party, and I hope that we not only will have this inquiry, but a wider independent inquiry, and it's something that the Equalities and Human Rights Commission needs to investigate.
So you're renewing calls that the Prime Minister, as you said, made himself, that there should be an independent inquiry. The remit of that, should it be within government, within the Conservative Party, or should it take in UK politics as a whole? And I include Labour in that, because Labour, when it comes to Islamophobia, do not have an unblemished record.
Well, look, I can confirm that in terms of the Labour Party, we were investigated by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. It was a shameful day for us when the Commission found us guilty, but I think that it's incumbent on all political parties to clean their houses and to be held to account. And the governing party of the day should not be precluded from such investigations. And that is why I think it's important that the EHRC actually holds that independent inquiry, which many people, including many of my Slough constituents, who have felt demeaned by the Prime Minister's comments, who, as we all know, has a record of Islamophobic or racist and sexist and homophobic remarks. And that is why I think that the culture within the Conservative Party needs to be investigated. There have been a plethora of incidents, whether it's pertaining to Conservative councillors, members, and
Mr Dhesi, you have to understand where I'm coming from. I'm looking at politics. You'll appreciate this. I'm looking at politics as a whole at the moment, about representation, inclusivity, and it isn't where it should be by any standards, you know, in 2022. And when you look at Labour, you mentioned there the investigation into anti-Semitism. You know, a lot of people argue, you know, no discrimination should be pigeonholed. It should be looked at in its entirety, and that includes Islamophobia. The Labour Muslim Network found back in 2020, 1 in 4 of the party's Muslims have also directly experienced Islamophobia within the party. The report claimed that nearly half of Muslim members do not believe the Labour Party takes the issue of Islamophobia seriously. Both your leader and your deputy leader said at the time, we look forward to working with the LMN to implement their recommendations, and we'll be meeting with them to discuss the next steps in tackling Islamophobia. What happened after that? Because what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of people talk the talk, but no action is seen, and that's across the political divide.
Well, Sarah Jane, you're fully correct in saying that was ongoing. And indeed, there's a lot of work going on, as Keir and Angela themselves have noted. They're working very closely with the Labour Muslim Network and the wider Labour movement to make sure that we root out racism in all its vile forms. But what we do need to acknowledge is that while we do that internal work, that work has not been happening within the Conservative Party. There was supposed to be an independent inquiry, which the Prime Minister and the then Chancellor Sajid Javid promised on national television. That independent inquiry has not happened. The internal inquiry that they did have was widely criticised. In fact, indeed, it did not even consult even one Conservative Muslim member. So that is why I am saying that it's been a long time in coming, and we do need to take these matters seriously. That is why when the likes of Nusrat very bravely, and it does take a lot of bravery to come out and
so you
to
want the
have
Prime
those
Minister to be stronger, but you're confident that within your own party concrete action is being taken against Islamophobia. Can you give us an example?
100%. I think that under the auspices of the chair of the Labour Party, Anneliese Dodds, the wider Labour Party, they are working to root out any members who are either racist or sexist or homophobic. There is no place within the Labour movement for discrimination, just as there shouldn't be in our wider society.
And they would be confident to come forward because, of course, one of the complaints that Nusrat Ghani had was that she didn't feel that in an internal process her allegations would be taken seriously, and she just quite frankly didn't see the point. Within Labour, you're confident that somebody could come forward?
Well, Sarah Jane, it depends a lot on the party leadership, the tone that is set. And as I said, if you juxtapose Boris Johnson's divisive and derogatory remarks and you juxtapose that next to Keir Starmer, Angela's comments, that their leadership in ensuring that we are going to tackle these issues within our party, but that should not detract the Conservatives from doing that. And I think that at a time when the Conservatives are more and more involved in either infighting or dealing with issues such as Partygate or these allegations of racism, that's actually taking away from the main issues of the day. They are not tackling the cost of living crisis, the rising energy bills, which many households within our country are facing, hard-working people are facing. They're not tackling the climate crisis, and that is why they need to sort their own house out ASAP. OK,
Tan Dhesi, Labour MP for Slough. Really good to talk to you, Tan Dhesi. MP asking, where is that independent inquiry into Islamophobia that the Prime Minister himself called for? We'll have more on this story throughout the day here on Sky News.